Okay, welcome back. Now you can see that I've moved this selection. You can move it anywhere you like, but again, going back to the idea and the concept that you have to be aware of where you're at when you're selecting something. And the reason I say that is I can copy this by hitting my Control and my C button. And let me add another layer up here on the top. Let's go up here, create a new layer. Now, if I hit Control V, now I've just pasted it. Now you'll notice I pasted the gray, but I've also left it where it was at before. Why is that critical? Well, if I go down to this layer, go back here, hit my Control D to deselect it, and then I select it again, and then I move my selected pixels, move up here. Oh, that ain't gonna work because I'm moving my selection. I was not on the proper layer before I made my choice. Now let's go up here. This should be my yellow layer. Okay, so I need to make the selection here. Hit Control D. On layer number 3, I have the yellow text. So if I click on my selection tool, and then I click Move Selection, that won't do anything. I have to move the selected pixels. Now you also notice I'm moving it, but I'm also moving just the bottom layer. Now, let's go back here, hit Control Z, because I don't want to move it. I do want it selected. Now remember, I'm on the yellow text layer. If I hit Control C, then I go up here to my layer number 6, which is where this gray text of Tim is, and then I hit Control V. It reappears, but now if I move it down, I have in fact covered it up and duplicated it. Why? Because it's copying what's down here as well. Because when I made the selection, it had the white background underneath it that was visible. Okay, so be aware of that. Each thing you do is going to have an effect. You have to be comfortable with what the program is actually doing. If you're not clear in your mind, please take it step by step. Now, why does that make a difference? Well, let's go back down here. You see I've moved that and I've created it, and you notice the white text is underneath. I can do the same thing by clicking this, remove that, and if I'm on layer number 2, which is, layer number 3, which is where my yellow text is at, if I now select it, hit Control D to deselect it. Now if I do that, hit Control C to copy it, move up here to my layer number 6, and then I Control V to paste it. Oops, I was on the wrong layer. Control Z and undo it. Okay, I need to remove that. And okay, now I'm on my yellow layer. Okay, hit Control C, bump this up here, move up to this layer, hit Control V. Now, why isn't that working? Well, because now you will notice it is on top of the other layer. Since there was nothing in that selection, that is going to eliminate my ability to copy and paste it. Now here's a way to get around it. You notice I use this selection box. What I didn't do was go down here, and if I use my magic wand, hit my Control D to deselect it, and if I hit Control and hold it down, and I select each letter, then I hit Control C, then I can move up here to my layer number 6, which is where I put this gray layer of text and this yellow text, and I hit Control V. Then I can move it down here, and it's now on top of the other text. In reverse order, hit Control D, and let's add the white background again, and you can see the effect. Once again, please note the layer you're working on, the way you select something is going to have a very dramatic effect and what you see. If you're not comfortable with this, you really need to focus on it. You really need to get this straight in your head, what's going on and what exactly is happening. The only way you're going to do this is take notes of what you're doing, practice what you're doing, work with the transparencies and with the layers so that you get real comfortable with both what layer you're working on and what you're trying to do. Labeling your layers is going to help you keep track of where you're at and what you're doing on each individual layer. For instance, if I'm, excuse me, for instance, if you're working on eyes, you can work on the eye shape, you can work on the eye shadows, or you can work on the eye highlights. Those three could be divided into layers to come up with a very beautiful, realistic looking eye. And you're going to want to layer those, and you also will want to pay attention to which order that they're in. Specifically, I've done line artwork where I've done cartoons and colored those. Using my magic wand and different layers, I can go in and I can paint something using the layering tool. Now, for example, if I go back up here to my top layer and I want to color something, I can actually go in here, pick my magic wand tool, I can select each of the letters. Uh-oh. Why do I have a W in that? I don't know. Let's undo that, undo that. Where is that coming from? That's interesting. I have no idea where that layer just popped up with this information. That was not a duplicate layer. Oops. Let's undo that and figure out what is going on here, because as of right now, I have a ghost layer. And I have no idea why I have a ghost layer. 100%. That's interesting. There's letters on this layer and I have no idea why. Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to pursue that any longer. Let's go ahead, make a new layer, and I'll demonstrate this real quick.